Hi, I'm your host, Rick Sessinghaus, and excited to launch Flow Golf Podcast. Each episode, we will share stories, interview experts, and share cutting-edge strategies for peak performance. Here's my co-host, Hallam Morgan, to explain more about FlowCode Golf.
Thanks, Rick. FlowCode Golf is a framework of strategies, principles, and techniques that take us from fear to the state of flow, the state of optimal performance, and the zone where we play our best golf. You can find out more about FlowCode Golf at www.flowcode.golf. And I just want to finish up by saying this podcast is as much your podcast as it is ours. So please ask questions, provide feedback, and get engaged. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Welcome back, everyone, to the Flow Golf Podcast. I'm super excited to launch season 2 of our Flow Golf Podcast. And in today's episode, I want to talk about something a little bit different. We spoke a lot in season 1 about dealing with failure, dealing with challenges, how to take them on. But in today's episode, Rick, I want to talk about dealing with success and what some people would probably call your overnight success story. But in reality, it's actually probably been more like 9,000 night success story. So there's a lot of things to speak about in that journey. And that's something I would love to talk about because there's so much that you've learned throughout that journey, but also now you're at this place where you're having so many new experiences, you're challenging yourself. I'm sure it comes with different challenges in itself, different things you have to overcome. So we'd love to talk about some of those things in today's episode.
Definitely. No, I think it's interesting when we talk about success. You know, you and I work with so many players who want to be successful. They want to get on tour. They want to win an event, and that drives them. And I think that's great. You want to drive towards that success. And you know, I've been coaching golf for now 28 years, and I've been fortunate that it has been a career. I've been able to coach full time and go through the ranks and make mistakes and be able to literally have a career of coaching. Yet, as we look at success, you know, how do you measure success in coaching might be slightly different than in playing a round of golf. And I get that. Yet, I think the concepts are the same, right? We want to get to a higher level. We want to perform at a higher level. There's certainly monetary things that come with that. There might be recognition and stuff like that comes with success. And you and I are going to talk a little bit about fulfillment of that also, is that we can be successful, but very, very unhappy because we think the success is supposed to help us make us feel a certain way. And I've been extremely grateful that along this journey, there has been some down parts for sure. I've loved what I've done so much that when I tap into the values of service and caring and sharing, and when I live those things, it's more beyond success than fulfillment. And I think when people now look at, and they now maybe know who I am, and yet they didn't know me 3 years ago, I was still around. I was still, you know, writing articles and doing videos and doing things like that. But with Collin Morikawa's success, it obviously put me more in the forefront of a coach, both on the golf course and the mental side of it. So extremely grateful for those things. But it's back in the day of when I first started coaching, is I wanted to be a great coach. Now, what does that mean? Well, it's hard to maybe define, but I wanted to help people, and I wanted those people to play better golf, and I want them to enjoy golf. So I had a pretty clear of what that meant to me. Yet as I got older and I saw other successful coaches, sometimes it was only wrapped into the tournament players. And then you got a little bit more notoriety because you worked with a certain tour player, something like that. And I got that. Don't get me wrong. But back then it's like, wait a second, I've taken this 18 handicap and they're a 12 handicap now. Don't I get any like, hey, I'm a successful coach? But deep down, I knew I was. I did know that I was helping people get better at golf. Okay. And then when I wrote, my first book, Golf: The Ultimate Mind Game, now 16 years ago, I wanted to share my knowledge of the mental game at that point, and I was excited to do that, and it was well received. And I'm not saying it was a Amazon bestseller or anything like that, but it did reach people, and that to me was successful. That to me was fulfilling to know that people got some value out of reading that book. And so as we fast forward, and I've worked with college teams and college players and junior golfers and 18 handicappers, and now with Collin Morikawa's success of winning 2 majors and being a top player, certainly it's put a spotlight on me, which it sounds great. And yet it has also exposed some of my vulnerabilities. And you and I are going to talk a little bit about imposter syndrome and things like that. It's like, wait a second, now people are looking at me differently in a very positive light, by the way. Yet, do I need to be different? Do I need to prove myself more? Do I need to come up with this great thing to prove that I know more? And I don't know more. I just happen to have worked really, really, really hard, have a coaching philosophy that I believe in, and I continue to refine. So that's my little introduction on kind of where I've come from and where I'm at now.
Love it. There's a couple of things I think you mentioned there that are really important to take note of. And one of them is defining what success is to you, not actually deciding or thinking success is something else that someone else has put on you, basically. So you decided that actually it's more along the lines of the fulfillment. So you getting your book out there and probably having just small messages that come your way. Rick read your book, loved it, and this is what I took from it, or implemented some of the techniques or some of the frameworks, and this is the impact it's had. That was more your definition of success than necessarily the number of copies that sold. And I think that's really important, because society sometimes tries to put certain definitions of success on us. Even if you're a professional golfer and you're trying to achieve certain things through the golfing world, again, certain things are kind of put on us as a definition of success. But we should start to decide, what is our definition of success? Because I think that then leads into fulfillment, because we're working towards something we believe in, not something that society or our family or our friends or our peers believe in, essentially. So I think that's really important there, super important.
And along those, when I was a younger coach, probably in my late 20s, early 30s, success, unfortunately for me, was about recognition. It was about, I want to be recognized as a top teacher in my state, and I want to be on these lists and these type of things. And it was a very hollow kind of feeling, because I was pursuing recognition from people who, one, never saw me give a golf lesson. Yet I thought that was going to be the next thing to help me to prove that I was a good coach. And it really has nothing to do with me as a coach. It's nice to get recognition. And of course, now in the last couple of years, I've gotten some of that recognition, and again, very grateful for that. But I think it's back to what you just said, is that if we shift to why we're doing it. So my motivations for coaching is the value of service. That's my highest value. I want to serve others. Okay. Instead of, I'm doing this because that's going to help me do this, which is going to get me this recognition, and I'm going to be in this mag. Ooh, that road leads to usually a pretty empty place.
And so, something I picked up on there, you said your mission back when you started coaching was to help people play better golf and enjoy it more. And I can say, I don't even need to ask you, but that mission has not changed, right? That mission is still the same. You say it so many times in a lot of our conversations we have inside of FlowCode Golf Academy, on various other podcasts, but you say, I want people to play better golf and enjoy the game more, and reinforce this statement. And I think that is what's allowed you to become more successful, because you've got so much clarity.
No, and I appreciate you saying that, is because I think as an early coach in my early 20s, it was about having people play better golf, shoot lower scores, hit the ball closer to the hole. And that was a very easy cause and effect. But what I noticed, and even as somebody who plays golf, is like, okay, I shot lower scores, but I wasn't fulfilled. I wasn't happy on the golf course. To me, that's an empty goal, right? So wrapping my part of play better golf and enjoy it is a key part to this day, because I want people coming off loving golf. I want people to say, hey, I want to get better, not because I want to shoot a lower score, but man, I love the challenge. I love everything that is about it. And gosh, I'm smiling on the golf course more. I'm laughing with my playing partners. To me, that's life, right? Don't we want to enjoy life more? Do we want to? And so that is still the central part of my coaching. And that's why, as I've gone from swing coach to more mental performance and understanding people's attitudes and their perspectives and such, I know that like what you and I are doing is making a difference off the golf course too, which is, as you know, is a huge motivator for me. So yes, the enjoyment part is super important as I keep moving on as a coach.
Definitely. That is literally success and fulfillment. The play better golf, almost the success side, and then the enjoy it more is the fulfillment component. And I think it was Tony Robbins that said that success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. And I think that's so important for people to remember, is yes, success is fantastic. We work hard to create success, but we should also be conscious of the art of fulfillment. Success is the science, We do these daily habits, we work towards these goals, we achieve them, we tick them off, but we also should be understanding that art of fulfillment at the same time.
Definitely. And what you just said there, which I think is important, not only as a player, but as a coach or somebody who's in their business, is the daily things, right? The habits, the things like that. Is like, if you don't enjoy that, good luck when you're holding that trophy to enjoy that moment much, because it's like, okay, now what does that make me feel? But the next day, if you can't wait to get up and do your stretching, can't wait to do your journaling, can't wait to do your meditation, to me, that is about life, right? And I want people to look forward to those little things that they do every single day. Not that it's always easy by that, it's not. And that's part of what I've learned as a coach, is that the ups and downs of not only coaching somebody, but the business part of it, and the ups and downs, and the all these things that could affect my business as a coach, I've had to deal with. Okay. And I've had to do, and so even though right now it looks like I have a successful coaching business, I've had a successful coaching business a long time. I've worked my butt off. Okay. I'll make that very clear. Yet along the way, even though there's been some rough spots, I was able to keep moving forward, keep getting better with my craft. I'm a big supporter of Michael Gervais, who's a wonderful sports psychologist, and he talks about, you improve your craft, right? I want to improve as a coach. How do I do that? And different certifications and mentoring and stuff like that, is that I want to continue to become a better coach, to allow myself to serve other people at a higher level. And I think if I got stuck, it's like, well, now I'm working with a player who is one of the best players in the world, I guess I'm done. Hey, I've reached that mountaintop. Oh, not at all, because I think then we can unfortunately go right back down that mountain. I want to get to the next mountain, not only for Collin, but for other players and for myself, is to keep getting better. And I think that's something that you look yourself in the mirror at and say, hey, am I getting better at my craft? Am I getting, and I think with that comes the fulfillment of going in the right direction that's measured with your values more than it is just accomplishments.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Flow Golf Podcast. Whether you're a coach or a golfer, we have something for everyone at FlowCode Golf Academy. I'm so excited to announce that Rick Sessinghaus has launched 2 new masterclasses that you can access for free. One for a coach on how to grow your coaching business, and another for golfers on how to master your mental game. To gain free access, you just need to head to www.flowcode.golf/masterclasses. We look forward to welcoming you to the FlowCode family. Big time, completely agree with that. And something I want to take a little bit, just to finish off the success versus fulfillment conversation, a process I take some of my clients through to really help with that, is essentially to list out some of the key experiences they may have had in the last 1, 2, 3 years, depending on how much has happened. Make a full list of all these experiences. Really interesting, because a lot of clients, they haven't really thought about it until that moment. They haven't properly reflected until that moment. So we make a list of all those experiences, and then we look at what lessons we learned from each experience. And we start to take note of maybe 1, 2, 3 lessons per experience. We have this long list of lessons then. And then what we tend to do is we theme them, because they kind of match into different categories. Really interesting, because these different topics start cropping up. And then from that, we create these principles that we can take from their experiences, from the lessons they've learned. And then we create these principles that they can now live their life, either off the golf course and on the golf course, in alignment with. And something that I think that really helps is having both that success component, but also that fulfillment component. Because the success comes from making better decisions based upon the lessons you've learned from the experiences that you've had. Super powerful, moves you closer towards success. But then the second part of it, the fulfillment, comes that it's all things you believe in. It's things you've experienced. So it's super relevant and in alignment with your values, your principles, your beliefs. And when you live in alignment with the things you believe in, that is, in my opinion, what makes you more fulfilled. So that exercise, that simple process that you can repeat every week, every month, every year, if you don't want to go as often, can be super powerful, because it just helps you get realigned with both success and fulfillment at the same time.
Right. And along those lines is that, FlowCode has come about from a lot of hard work. And not many people know that, I have failed twice at doing something similar in the past. I wanted to do an online platform. I wanted to get my content out there in an environment to help more people than just one-on-one. And unfortunately, the two other projects did not go well. They started okay, and then they just didn't come through. And there's a lot of hard work and there's failure. And like you mentioned, it's like, okay, what can I learn from that? What can I do that? And so FlowCode was well over 2 years ago that it started. And it was before Collin won his first major championship. It was one, so I had already had these ideas that I wanted to come out, and I made some of those mistakes and failures before. I learned from it. I have a great team, including you, to help that vision go forward. And so when we talk about like an overnight success, it's like, okay, like FlowCode, I'm very proud of what we're doing. And we have a lot of wonderful goals, and we want to be successful, but we also are fulfilled in that process. That came from failing a couple other times. That from looking in the mirror going, do I really want to put the work in that's necessary for an online thing to go? And so those are the things that people don't see all the time. And yes, we're doing well, and we're getting our message out there, and I'm very proud of that. And success of some of my players has helped bring more attention to me. That's fantastic. Yet I want people to understand that I've been doing this a long time, and it's not always been a successful part of it, but every day I keep working harder to get better at my craft, but also to be able to have this vision of sharing that with as many people as possible.
Definitely. I absolutely love that. And you mentioned just obviously the success hasn't always been there, but every single day you've had this mission, you've had this kind of fulfillment component because you love what you do. And a way that I kind of determine whether I'm fulfilled and I'm waking up and feeling more fulfilled is, do I finish the day? And okay, there's some days where of course you feel less energized than others, but am I generally waking up and finishing the day with more energy than what I started it with? Or am I jumping on calls or working on projects that give me energy rather than drain me of energy? And if the answer is yes, then I know I'm working on the right things. That's something that definitely I always stay in alignment with, and I ensure that I keep a focus on. So just another one again for some of the listeners to consider. How many things are they doing that bring them energy? How many people are they spending time with that bring them energy rather than drain them of it?
Yeah, and to kind of turn our conversation back to this idea of success, where people, I think that's the carrot out there, is people want to be successful. And then guess what? When you are successful, people look at you differently. And how are you going to react when you now, and as simple as break 80 for the first time, or break par for the first time, or win your club championship? People have this now like, oh my gosh, am I really that type of player now? And how are people going to look at me? Oh my gosh, did I get lucky? And oh, do I have to prove to people that I can do it again, right? And we get into this imposter syndrome of, we finally got the success, and now we're uncomfortable with the success. And I'm not saying I'm any different. I mean, with being, in magazines or maybe on a TV or something like that, and with, do I feel uncomfortable sometimes? A few times, maybe. But I have to remember, like, no, I'm there to also add value to the magazine or something like that, and be aligned with what I want to share, right? But if it's like, oh my gosh, they're going to view me this different, I have to be careful of that, because now it's getting further away from who I am and such. So I think it's interesting with golfers when they do get to that success, and then they feel more uncomfortable. It's like, wait, I thought we were working our butt off to get to this point. What now? It's like, yeah, but I don't know if this is a fluke. I don't know. It's like, wait, it's like, you've worked hard to here. So I'm always intrigued when people do get this success, how they view themselves. Was this lucky? Oh my gosh. Or can they say, no, okay, I deserve this. I put my work in. Great. That's who I am. But now how other people are looking at them, or they think are looking at them, can create some interference with them moving forward. So I would love your feedback on that. But I think that's fascinating for golfers, as they do reach a goal and then they become uncomfortable. It's like, wait a second, you were complaining all this time that you weren't reaching the goal. Now you're there. Now you're complaining about reaching the goal. So
I think it's a self-awareness piece, right? It's have you been doing leading up to that point? If someone is incredibly self-aware, if they've been doing the reflection, if they've been stacking the evidence, let's say with a great shot book, for example, that we've spoke a bit about, they know they've put in the work. They know they've put in the work. They've done the habits. They've woken up, done the morning routine. They've been at the driving range. They've been on the golf course. They've put in the work. Then I think that's where, and if they have the self-awareness to look back and be aware, that's where they can then say, no, I deserve this. This isn't fluke. This isn't luck. This is, I can quite clearly see and show you where that's come from, where that success has come from. So I think that's really important, because more often than not, the players that I work with, they are doing the work. They are putting in the hours. They are stacking the evidence, but they're just not aware of it necessarily. They're not consciously aware of all the work that they're doing or the great shots that they've hit. I've spoke to many of my clients where they've hit some phenomenal shots in rounds, but as we always say, they focus on the 1 or 2 shots that weren't so great. So again, it's stacking evidence on that side as well as the side that we could improve upon. So I think that's super important. Moving then, Rick, into once you get to success, as we spoke about, not stopping there, because again, I think that's from a golfer's standpoint, we've spoken so much, and so many golfers, mini tour level in particular, they have this vision of getting that European Tour card or getting that PGA Tour card. And that's kind of the goal that they set themselves. And that's the thing they're always pushing towards. And there's countless stories of golfers who get their PGA Tour card and then they're kind of a bit lost. Oh, I've achieved it. Where do I go now? So it's making sure that you have that process in place that allows you to never stop progressing, never stop moving forward. And I think it's this potentially this ego versus mastery concept. What is it you're pursuing? So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. How do we continue to, if we get success, how do we continue to develop, grow, learn, and make sure that success is a part of our life for the foreseeable, for the future?
Yeah, it's an interesting dilemma, I'll call it, is that I've seen this, a player, let's say they get to the Corn Ferry Tour, they get to the PGA Tour, they get to the European Tour. And so they've actually gotten to a major goal. And then they think they have to do something completely different to then succeed on that. Now, you could argue, well, Rick, that means I'm trying to get better. I said, whoa, wait a second. You're taking away the DNA that got you there in the first place completely. Oh, now I need to change my swing to hit the ball further. And it's like, whoa, time out. You got there. Let's refine it. So I look at when somebody gets the success that they refine current skills, they don't necessarily change everything because, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can hit the ball far enough. It's like, wait a second. And what happens is they break down what the strength was in the first place. Okay. So I look at refinements. I look at blind spots. I think if we're talking golf specific here, we have stats now. We have all this data driven stuff. If you're self-aware, you'll know real quick where those little gaps are. And it could be everything from wedge distance from 50 to 75 yards. And if you really know that you can get 2 feet closer, awesome. That's something to work on. That doesn't mean that I have to change completely my wedge strategy. It could be, hey, maybe I'm not putting enough time in on that. Maybe I have to understand my attack angles a little bit more on certain turf conditions and stuff like that. To me, those are curious questions that it's not all about just completely blowing up everything that's already you. Okay. And then I think what you and I help these players do is understanding that some of these are soft skills, we'll call them, that need to be refined. The ability to show up under pressure, the ability to show up on that first tee paired with one of the top players, somebody who, hey, I got to get better in my practice rounds to get a strategy, right? These are the things that I believe are going to be the difference makers, by the way, and that's my bias coming out, that people go, whoa, I haven't been used to being on site on a Monday and then a Tuesday and a Wednesday and 3 days of practice rounds. And do I really work all day long? It's like, you have to manage your energy. I mean, I could go on and on and on, but there's blind spots that people have that if they're self-aware, they have a good coaching team around them, they look at the data, they look at their stats, they'll probably know quite quickly where they can get better at. To me, that's mastery, right? And I think we can always do that. I've shared, I think in the past where, whether it's Collin or some other players, is that at the start of a year, we may look at and say, hey, what are some areas you want to get improved? And sometimes they're very specific, like, hey, Rick, I want to keep working on hitting long irons with my ball below my feet and control my trajectory. It's like, wow, that's very specific. Maybe that happens once in a tournament, but you're now listing this as something that you want to get better at. To me, is mastery. Okay. And I think that's what makes golf such a great game, is all the variables, all the different shots that we can get better at, instead of just saying, I need to hit the ball 20 yards further. I get that. That's important. But I think when you look at it that way, every week can be a new nuance you can work on, and that love of it. So I think as a coach, I'm always looking at how do I get better as how do I communicate? Maybe like you and I were talking off the podcast of of I'm taking deep dive into and focus, like how people focus, and I'm looking at how do we use different devices to help us get some feedback, right? I'm constantly learning, and how do I can communicate these skills in a more powerful way, an impactful way. And I continue to do that. And I tried it on myself, and I tried it on. So I think it's us wanting to get better, because for me, I want to serve people better. I want them to play better. But you as golfers, I want you guys to, of course, to play better. But let's be honest with ourselves. Let's look in the mirror. Let's have better self-awareness skills. Let's understand, why are we shooting the scores we're shooting, and be okay with whatever that answer is, to want to get better at it. And that's part of the mastery.
Love it. A couple of things just that I want to pick up on that you mentioned there, as you were talking about how do we continue to progress? How do we continue towards this pursuit of mastery? One was curiosity. I think that's when you look at some of the most successful people on the planet, they're all extremely curious individuals. I remember hearing the story of Kobe Bryant. People called him a serial cold caller. He would call up Ariana Huffington of the Huffington Post and ask her about leadership things and leadership strategies. And he said he used to take a lot of inspiration from nature. And again, some of the most curious people on the planet, super powerful. The other one was learning. I know, and we can never reinforce that enough. I know you speak so much about learning, developing. Super powerful. So a couple of things I just wanted to reinforce.
Yeah. And on the idea of curiosity, I think curiosity shows mastery more than an ego. I have some players unfortunately I've worked with that feel they already know it all. And that's ego coming out. I know it all. I know what I should work on. And curiosity is a Kobe Bryant saying, this may not directly right now help me shoot this better, but if I improve my leadership skills with somebody outside of basketball, oh my gosh, I could be a better team. I mean, to me, that's outside of ego, and you want to look at yourself and I call it just being more vulnerable. It's okay to admit you're not good at something, okay, and to go, how could I improve this? And maybe I have a mentor. Maybe I get curious of what are the best of the best doing. It's okay to admit you're not good at it. Okay. Some people with ego don't want to say, oh, I'm not, no, my putting's fine. My putting, I was like, really? You've had three putts the last 4 rounds. I think we have some issues to talk about, right?
I completely agree. And the final thing I kind of want to just mention before we wrap this up, and we're speaking about how do we continue to push towards success? How do we stay in what I think, and it was Ed Milet that spoke about this, but this state of blissful dissatisfaction. We're in complete bliss. We've achieved some incredible things. We're content. We're proud of ourselves, all that kind of stuff. But we're also dissatisfied. We want to continue to grow. We want to continue to develop. We want to continue to be curious and learn new things. And I think a big part of that as well, you've reinforced it, and it's a big part of this conversation, having that mission that never ends. You will never wake up one morning and say, ask the question, can I help more golfers play better and enjoy the game more? And the answer be no. You will wake up every day and you can always answer that question yes. So regardless of what you've achieved, regardless of the goals you've achieved, helping people to major championships, helping people to all these different places, you can still wake up and still answer that question with a solid yes. So there's still work to be done. There's still more things to learn. There's still more people to help. And I think that's super powerful. And that's a really key thing for people to consider, is what is that question you can ask yourself each morning and answer yes to it every single time you wake up. Because if you ask the question, have I helped someone to a major championship? And that's your only goal, the answer is yes. Okay, I'll go back to sleep then. But if you ask yourself, have I helped everyone play better golf and enjoy it more? The answer is always no. The answer is you can always do more. So I think that's super powerful. That's kind of a life mission that is connected to a lot of these goals, because of course we want success. But the life mission is the fulfillment component that never ends. It keeps moving forward.
And to bring it back to kind of finish up with the golfer out there who's listening to this, we can have success measured in your handicap going down or shooting a certain score. I get that. And I think that's awesome to go pursue. Yet something that Hallam and I will talk in future podcasts about is motivational styles. Is why is that important for you to pursue in the first place? And I think when you do connect to that why, you can show up to that golf course and say, yeah, my intention is to break 80 today. That would be awesome. In order to do that, I'm going to be grateful. I'm going to be curious. I'm going to be focused. I'm going to enjoy my playing partners. To me, that's more the experience, and that's being in the moment more than just did I shoot 79 or not, right? And so I think that's the thing that I want to leave everybody with today is, yes, we want to get to these next levels. They push us. They focus us. That's awesome. But again, something we'll talk about later is why is this important for you to pursue? Why are you showing up to the golf course tomorrow? Why do you want to shoot this certain score? And I think if you're honest with yourself there, that I think that helps push us through the ups and downs. And then when you get there, it's more than just, hey, I've got this trophy. It's like, wow, this is so awesome. I worked my butt off and this is a part of who I am. Oh, I'm so proud of myself. This is fulfilling. And that's what I want people to really tap into.
I love it. I love it. Another great episode, Rick. Really enjoyed that one. Super excited for the rest of season 2, and we'll catch all listeners soon.
All right, go get them.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode of the Flow Golf Podcast. If you liked what you heard, please subscribe. And as always, please reach out if you have any feedback or suggestions that we can implement to bring more value to our community. Community plays a huge role in what we do at FlowCode Golf Academy, and we're passionate about creating a group of like-minded coaches and golfers who want to improve their mental game and help others do the same. I'm also excited to announce that Dr. Rick Sessinghaus has launched 2 new masterclasses that you can gain free access to. He's created one for coaches on how to grow your coaching business, and another for golfers on how to master your mental game. You can gain free access now by heading to www.flowcode.golf/masterclasses, and we look forward to welcoming you to the FlowCode family.